Hello and welcome to Side B, and the very first episode of our brand spanking new book club style podcast, where every month we take a book, a movie, a comic, game, and or etc. and talk about it with help from you, the community. The one rule for this podcast is that anything we talk about must be of Monsters and Mechs. Today's episode, we talk about both the book and the movie Ready Player One, which its ties to Monsters and Mechs and those kind of things is a little tenuous, but I think we'll get there. There's definitely a moment in it that's totally of this.
Oh, yeah.
So
there are mechs involved.
Yes. All right. And the other people talking on today's episode is one of our guests, Hunter.
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right. And then the other guest, Seth.
Hey, I'm Seth.
And I am your host, Billy. Billy's not a good hosting name.
Get some nice voice modulation in there.
Yeah, before we get into all of the little weeds of it, let's just say, like, what we read, or whatever. We all read the book and watched the movie. The movie came out 2 days ago for us.
Yep.
Alright. Kind of. We'll get there. We watched the movie 2 days ago.
Okay.
Alright. Hunter.
Okay, so...
I mean, not, like, general ideas, like, how you read it.
You're right. So,
What?
I read, I didn't actually read it. I listened to the audiobook just because it was
close
more
enough to read it.
It was more convenient for me with my job and everything. And it was, I heard it. It was actually, if you go onto Audible, you can get it on Audible, which is awesome. And it's narrated by Will Wheaton. So it's a good voice. Will Wheaton's one of my favorite guys. I love him. So hearing his voice was awesome. He actually mentions his name in the book. Which is, you're not going to find that in the movie.
What?
And then, I think I read it like a week before the movie, and both were good. Both were very good. That's just kind of, I'm just going to put that out there.
Alright.
And so, that's my take on it. That's how I read it.
That's fair.
And then Seth?
I started reading it about the same time Hunter did. I didn't use Audible, but while Hunter mentions Audible, when Billy was whispering sponsor us. Audible sponsors everyone. We gotta set those seeds early.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So anyways, I got the book, I read it real quick, and I was gonna give it to my girlfriend for her to read. That didn't really happen. But like, it had a slow start and then really picks up into it. Mm-hmm. And so like the first, I don't know, 10 chapters took about like 4 days, and the rest took about like an hour. Mm-hmm. Not literally, but that type of thing.
And then I kind of read it as my phone was playing it while also listening to it from Audible. I agree with you, Seth. It definitely picks up. There's definitely a moment. We'll get to it. Definitely my favorite part.
Well, I mean, the beginning was exposition. So
yeah.
Of course it's going to be a little slow in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll talk about the book first. And this is read almost verbatim from the Wikipedia article. Ready Player One is a 2011 science fiction novel and the debut novel of American author Ernest Cline. The story, set in a dystopian 2044, follows protagonist Wade Waltz on a search for an Easter egg in a worldwide virtual reality game. The discovery of which will lead him to inherit the game creator's fortune. The book was published on August 16th, 2011. An audiobook was released the same day. It was narrated by Will Wheaton, who was mentioned briefly in one of the chapters. In 2012, the book received an Alex Award from the Young Adult Library Services Association, division of the American Library Association, and won the 2012 Prometheus Award. And then a film adaptation directed by Steven Spielberg was released on March 29th, 2018. Alright. We don't have to go, like, beat for beat, but, like, let's just start, like, a little more details what we all thought about it, you know?
Okay, so I'll start off. It's definitely not for adults. It's definitely geared more towards children, especially because the protagonist is a child himself and fighting against actually a kind of like an adult kind of organization. So if you're not into kind of that young adult fiction kind of thing, it might not be the book for you, but it's definitely a good read if you're into dystopian futures. which I thought was amazing. Having read like 1984 and do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, being into that dystopian kind of feel, it was a really good book for me.
I don't know. The way you're describing it makes it seem like it has no demographic. Because specifically the book is so, like, steeped in specific and deep 80s culture and lore. Like, I mean, no young adult is going to know all of that.
Okay, well, and a young adult now, definitely. But back in 2011 when it came out, a young adult was our age and probably grew up with their parents, like, they were around that 80s culture. It even opened with a song from Oingo Boingo, and I know you guys probably don't know who Oingo Boingo is.
Fuck you, I know who Oingo Boingo is.
Okay, fans of Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman was one of the lead singers in Oingo Boingo, so if you're a Danny Elfman fan, you probably love Oingo Boingo.
And then Ernest Cline is 46 right now, so...
Okay.
Yeah, he was 40 when he wrote 40 when the book was published and everything about that.
So, Get Fucked, Hunter.
The movie, I just found this out. This isn't one of my trivia things, but the movie was released, for the United States, his birthday.
Huh. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's nifty. Got a good present.
It did have a weird release date for a movie.
Yeah, it was released the 10th or something. I can look it up. Yeah, it was released March 11th, 2000. The movie was released March 11th, 2018 at South by Southwest in Austin Films Festival thing.
Okay.
Or like a media festival thing.
Yeah.
But then for the rest of the United States and world at the 29th.
Okay.
But that's the movie. The book.
Yeah, back to the book. Yeah. Back to the good part.
Damn, Billy. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Here's another bit of trivia. And then, Seth, we'll get to your deeper thoughts. The rights to publish the book as well as the movie were sold in different auctions in 2010 before the book was even fully written.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was just a good enough idea. And Ernest Cline, he'd written he was a slam poetry for like...
That's a slam poet.
Yep.
I want this guy's book.
From like the 90s to the 2000s, and then in 2009 he wrote a movie called Fanboys about people in 1998 trying to steal the original cut of The Phantom Menace before it was released.
Oh, I remember watching that.
Yeah.
I actually remember watching that. That was
He's written actually a couple things, like movie-wise.
Definitely everything he's written has been steeped in 80s nostalgia.
Yes. Yeah, but a lot of his poetry was, one of them was titled Letting the Nerd Out or something like that, and then there's one, Nerd Porn Auteur. Yeah.
Okay.
Really weird guy. Alright. So Seth, what'd you think about the book? Deeper thoughts.
So I thought the book overall was pretty good. It did drone on the nostalgia parts of it. I found myself while reading it just like skipping full paragraphs that were... It's like, here's a full list of random shit that just doesn't
when they describe the Ecto 88, his signature car.
Yeah.
The DeLorean painted up as the Ecto 1. And I wish I remembered every single bit. There was like 10 cars smashed together.
I didn't have the luxury of skipping all of that, listening to the audiobook.
Did you listen to it at a faster speed at all?
No. I listened to it at the regular speed. I didn't actually even know if that's a thing on Audible. I just hit play
and 2.5 times.
Oh,
you can't understand it, but like
it's fine.
Will Wheaton reading really slow, so you can speed it up better. At 1%, I thought or not 1%. The 100% was just super crawling when I was just trying to listen to it.
Billy, what are your thoughts on the book?
Thanks for asking.
What's your deep dive, Billy?
All right. I don't know. Yeah, a little bit of everything you guys said. Just like I remember listening to it, just like they'd say a thing, and I'd predict like what they were going to talk about, and then feel both bad about myself that I know this random trivia from 15 years before I was born, and then also just like how he put it into the book. I remember like reading half of it, then going to work thinking about like, I wonder what else is going to be in this book. And one of the things was I was wondering about the quarter he got from that Pac-Man machine.
I called it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, what's that quarter? It has to be something. Then I was like, it's an extra life.
Yeah!
They're all gonna die, and he's gonna come back to life with it.
We should have said this at the beginning, but spoilers, guys.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
Definitely spoilers.
First inaugural episode, we're not gonna have a community reading with us, but yeah, hopefully you're gonna read, watch, whatever we do with us, along with us, and we'll have your thoughts later on the podcast and everything.
For sure.
Even though not you specifically who's listening to it, hopefully.
Maybe you. You know what? Dream big, my guy.
Yeah.
Dream big.
Someday you could be on this podcast.
Patreon, $100, you're in.
No.
we should set that up.
Alright, let's move on to the movie.
Real quick, a couple more trivia things.
Alright, cool.
I guess Ernest Cline, his all-time favorite video game is Black Tiger, the second trial, I think it was.
In the second gate, yeah.
When you have to replay it all, but in first-person, real life. And when the book was released, they had a Easter egg hunt promotion. Like, a lot like the book, where, I'll just read it. 10 months after the first edition released, Cline revealed on his blog that Ready Player One itself contained an elaborate hidden Easter egg. The clue would form the first part of a series of staged video gaming tests similar to the plot of the novel. The game Ultimate Collector Garage Sale by Austin-based developer Portalarium was featured in one part of the contest. The final stage of the contest was announced on August 1st, 2012, and was to set a world record on one of several classic arcade or Atari 2600 games. This was completed on August 9th, 2012 by Craig Queen, who set a new world record in Joust. He was awarded the DeLorean on the TV show X-Play.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I see, like, I don't think I could have won it, but it
No,
would have been it would have been awesome to be a part of that had I not gotten into this just recently.
And then December 2017, which this will be two trivia things.
All right, cool.
The movie was set to release in December 2017, but didn't want to directly compete with Star Wars Episode 8.
That's
a
reasonable decision.
So
Good business model.
Yeah, they moved it to the end of March, which happened to be his birthday. But in December 2017, Cline he confirmed that he's writing a sequel to Ready Player One.
Awesome.
I don't know what it's going to be at all. He hasn't said anything about it, but just, I'm writing a sequel.
I talked to Seth about it, that I was looking for it. If there had been a sequel, I was going to read it.
Mm-hmm. And then there was some writer, Andy Weir, I think his name is. He wrote a short story set in its universe that was about the one guy.
IROC?
Nolan Sorrento.
Oh.
It was apparently a prequel that it's now being published with the book in the newer editions of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally canonical to the Ready Player One
universe,
yeah.
Man, that's more reading I gotta do, I guess.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on the book, at least for the moment?
We'll get into that. It's more of comparisons, really.
Okay.
That I've got a lot.
Right. And there's a lot more trivia I found on the movie than the book.
That's fair. I will say the biggest thing in the book that I absolutely loved was the quarter that you guys had mentioned earlier, because it seemed like a useless task.
Yeah,
outright useless. And then it was like the fucking game changer of the shit.
Yeah.
He even because as he was doing it, H pulled ahead of him. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, oh fuck, I gotta do this, and then he finishes it and he thought it was all for naught. So I thought I really liked that in the book. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it was really cool that what was his name? Halliday had put that in there.
Mm-hmm. And then started playing Pac-Man Fever when you start getting close to winning.
Yeah. because that was a staple in the book, like when you're in a gate or you're getting close to the key, like some badass music was playing. And so he thought he was on the trail.
He said this has to be a little note from Halliday saying you're on the right track, but not on the right track to that. Which, speaking of that kind of thing, there's something that pissed me off about the book.
Oh man.
At the very beginning, he's described he's describing the Oasis and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's the 27 sectors of the Oasis, or however many there were.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're all in blocks that form a giant cube that form the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
In the book, he specifically says, and I know that had to be related to Halliday's Easter egg.
And it never was.
Never mentions it ever again. They specifically say, like, oh, it takes exactly 10 hours to travel from one sector to the other. So I was like, is it going to be like a month-long race where people are trying to run across the Rubik's Cube? But nothing. And then didn't make sense, like, the narrative was in the past tense. So, like, why would he mention that? Like, I didn't get it. Randomly thinking about it after the book, I was like, wait a minute, they didn't talk about that at all.
I feel like a big thing about the Gunters was they drew conclusions out of everything.
They're
like, this has to be connected to the Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying like everything they could just to figure out where the first key was.
And I really liked that every time they were right about something, they're like, why didn't you figure it out, idiots? It's like, there was this thing, you should have known.
Another cool thing about the trial, the very first trial when they had to go through the Tomb of Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a little kid watching my dad play through an updated version of that campaign with a ton of his friends.
Oh,
That's
wow.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we definitely went on a book tangent. Let's
That's fun.
No, that's supposed to be. It's the book
so,
part, and then we'll go into the movie part.
All right. I kind of want to give my thoughts about the movie.
Okay.
My initial thoughts, just an overarching. I thought it's a very cool movie. CGI has come a very long way.
Oh yeah.
And I think that the reason that it was a good movie and like it waited so long to become to be developed was just because the CGI updated and allowed us to kind of step into this virtual world with them, and that you couldn't really get from older CGI.
I've got a trivia point about that.
Oh, okay. How about you read that? Read that trivia.
No, we gotta get to the movie bit. We gotta read the Wikipedia article about the movie verbatim.
Okay.
You know,
there's order. Hunter.
Yeah. All right. The movie Ready Player One is a 2018 American science fiction adventure film produced and directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Zach Penn and Ernest Cline, based on Cline's 2011 novel of the same name. The film is set in the year 2045, when much of humanity, escaping the desolation of the real world, uses the virtual reality software Oasis to engage in work and play. Wade Watts discovers clues to a hidden game within the program that promises the winner full ownership of the Oasis, and joins several allies to try to complete the game before indentured players working for a larger company run by Nolan Sorrento can do so before him. Ready Player One premiered at South by Southwest on March 11th and was theatrically released by Warner Brothers in the United States on March 29th. The film received generally positive reviews, with critics praising its visual and brisk pacing, and noting it an improvement over the book, though disliking the lack of character development and achingly regressive view on pop culture fans. So yeah, something you said before we recorded, Seth, was that you thought everyone liked the book more. Most critics didn't.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's...
Talking to more people, I understand where they're coming from, but I really liked even though it was kind of I groaningly liked it sometimes in the book. I liked the bullshit minutia of everything being 80s, everything being a reference. Like,
yeah,
I felt it, definitely a idea they toy with. Like, I felt rewarded for knowing those things, but
that's
I think
fair.
Yeah, the whole book and movie questioned whether or not you should feel rewarded on that. So,
like, my issue with the movie is it was so forced to drive the story. There was no character progression at all. It was like, here's the character. These were story points in the book, so we're just gonna throw them into the movie.
Especially the love story that happens in every movie. There's got to be a love story.
I hated that whole love story in both of them. It was so gross and creepy.
So like I liked it in the book better because like there is, I don't know, we're kind of getting off topic here, but definitely in the story it definitely developed. It showed like he even said in the book you could go people got married and divorced and they didn't even meet each other in real life, and that really solidified how like you can meet a person online and kind of fall in love with the person. The person, like their personality, and like that's it. Not knowing anything
Even
about
if
their
they're
appearance.
300-pound
Dude, a 300
in their mother's basement.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Seth, what do you think about the movie specifically? Deep dive.
Movie specifically, the love story itself was played out horribly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like
we can agree on that. Yes.
Yeah. Let me try to figure out how I want to say it. Mm-hmm. They should have went further than they did away from the book if that's the direction they wanted to go. Mm-hmm. They basically said we're going to follow the same general plot and we're going to give a new story to it. But they still tried to tie in so much from the book. If they would have went further, I think it would have been better.
Yeah, at the start of the movie, like just how they introduced everything, I was like, they just wanted to make a movie about virtual reality and playing video games in that, and then it just happened there was another book that was kind of that plot, so they threw Ready Player One.
Yeah, so they basically had the plot. They just needed to adapt it to a movie.
Like,
Billy, what are your deep dive thoughts on the movie?
All right. I definitely like the book more, and
well, we're not talking about the book. We're talking about the movie.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, I guess that's a lot more.
I just want your blanket kind of opinion, like trying to keep out the book as much as possible. Okay. Yeah. A blanket thought on the movie. How do you like it?
It's super hard to separate it from the book, but I liked it. I liked it in the same way I liked the book, where there was a point where it absolutely turned, and I was like, I'm enjoying this. Going back to it, I'm like, I don't think it was a good book or a good movie in the same way. I don't really think the book was that great, but like, I definitely enjoyed it a lot. And
while we're on the topic of the movie, was Sorrento's avatar? He looked like Clark Kent, right? Like Superman, Clark Kent.
Kind of. Like, it was just a big-ass businessman.
Yeah, but like I got the whole vibe with the hair, kind of thing, in the blue eyes. I got a very big Clark Kent vibe from his avatar.
I mean,
I was just thinking intimidating motherfucker was his thought. Is the way I looked at it.
Oh yeah.
Intimidating businessman.
He's in charge. Yeah, he came out with the suit and everything, just hulking figure.
Which, I mean, this is the book, but wasn't he always in the book just a random nameless avatar?
He was not. He still had the same IOI signature, but he was different. He was not the same cookie cutter, everything else that IOI was. Yeah,
I always thought he was.
He did differentiate himself a little bit.
Okay. Alright. And then,
you have any more trivia on the movie?
Oh, a lot. Yep. A whole hell of a lot. Alright,
let's hear some more about that.
Gene Wilder, who hadn't starred in an actual movie since 1999, apparently in 2007 he played a guest role on the children's show Yo Gabba Gabba.
Okay.
But that was his last role. He was offered by Steven Spielberg to play Halliday.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he declined.
No.
I mean, I think during filming is when he passed away, so it wouldn't. Okay. I don't even think it would have worked, but he did decline the role. I'm going to save that one for the last, because I liked it the most.
Speaking of which, I really liked Halliday's, how they
portrayed it. The portrayal of Halliday was amazing. That was one of the only redeeming qualities I really found in the movie. Honestly, they played Halliday so well. They got his awkwardness, they got his, like, not really wanting to talk about his date kind of thing. It was really cool.
I don't think I don't know. Maybe not even comparing it to the book. I thought it was weird. Because in the book, they said they weren't sure if he was autistic or on the spectrum or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just how I view those kind of issues. It's just, it seemed his quirkiness was a little bit too quirky. Like, I don't know how you can show a character like that without blatantly just saying he might be on the spectrum or something without him being exceptionally quirky.
I kind of figured from I gathered I felt going into the movie I got a better sense of him because of I read the book, and they did talk about how like he was weird, and they thought that he might have, as Asperger's was kind of discovered, that he might have been on the spectrum and had Asperger's. So as watching the movie, I was like, okay, yes, I can see the social deficit that comes with being on the spectrum.
It might have just been like how they portrayed it. I don't know.
Yeah, but, like I'd also taken it similar to how Hunter did, as it was clear that he had something like he was clearly on the spectrum, and they just didn't. He wasn't diagnosed officially.
Yeah.
Like I think if I didn't know that detail from the book, it would have been fine. But maybe I don't know.
It was just kind of an expansion that you got behind the brain of Halliday, having read the book and watching the movie.
We did that trivia. The music score was partially done by John Williams, who had worked with Steven Spielberg on all but 3 of his movies ever, I think.
Oh wow, it's kind of like Danny Elfman and Tim Burton.
At that point, it's more trivia that he wasn't in a Spielberg movie.
But then, partway through, Williams left to score another one of Spielberg's project, and then the Alan Silvestri took over, who he scored, I think it was a lot of different of the at least Avengers, I think. And then
he's talking about a good score, Avengers.
He's like done a lot of things, but I forget his specific filmography or however whatever composer would say. Steven Spielberg, he knew that he was a big part of the 80s, all of his movies, but he didn't want to like basically just stroke himself off in the middle of a movie.
I feel like he did a good job of that too.
So he took out all references possible from his movies.
What?
He produced Back to the Future. And it took Ernest Cline continually saying, you can't have this book, or you can't have this movie without the DeLorean.
You can't.
He was like, you can't do it. And he's like, fine, I just produced it, I didn't direct it, I'll put the DeLorean in.
Especially, like, how in the book, the very first key was one with a race. You can't
in the movie, not the book.
I'm sorry. In the movie, it was one with a race, and Parzival had the DeLorean, and like it even said that was one of his modes of transportation in the book, and it was one of his favorite ones to even. So to leave that out of the movie, I feel like would have been a very bad move on Steven Spielberg's part.
And then a funny thing about that scene, because I knew the bike Artemis was using was from Akira. But I forgot, like, the pilot of it. I forget. I've never seen that movie all the way, so I forget, like, their names specifically, but I was trying to think of the guy who drove the bike, Wall, I think it was H.
Okay.
Who was like, oh yeah, that's Kaneda's bike. And I was like, yep, that's its name.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I knew, I figured that most of, the personalized, because there were a lot of Sixers in that scene, so they had the kind of like standard everyone cookie cutter kind of thing.
I think there was the original Batmobile in there.
Yep, I saw
from
that
from the TV show. And
I wasn't the Knight Rider the Knight Rider
probably
like
that was it from the book. That was another thing that was in the Ecto 88. He had the Knight Rider display.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Another thing. Disney denied much reference to Star Wars. They allowed some references to the series, but they wouldn't allow any specific elements.
Fucking Disney.
Yeah, that's why they said Millennium Falcon a couple times, and I think did they say I have a bad feeling about this in the movie?
I don't think they did.
They did in the book.
They did. They definitely did in the book, and I caught it. I definitely caught that.
Or no, I think they did the Never Tell Me the Odds. At least in the. I don't know.
Maybe I think actually thinking back on it, I think Artemis said, because she said it both in the book for sure. I think she might have said it in the movie. I'm not sure. It might have been in the scene where they were like close to the end when they were all in the bus. I think she might have said, "I have a bad feeling about this," but don't quote me on that, guys. Right, go see the movie. Yeah, figure that out for yourself.
Already, Oh yeah. A side note to that one, which had to change certain events of the film. Or this is just me theorizing, because Disney also owned Marvel, and there's a couple references to Marvel in the book, and then a very specific one with Spider-Man's Leopardon mech.
Okay.
Just completely out of the movie, and I could not find anywhere like why. I figured why they didn't put it in there, but I couldn't find anyone specifically saying, sorry, we can't put Leopardon in there. So apparently no one fucking cares about Leopardon. Well, one of the coolest fucking mechs in the world, but
like they're really playing to the audience. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
Sure.
you can afford one mech CGI, clearly.
And then and that'll go to our last one. While Klein's original work heavily used the character of Ultraman, the rights over the character were still under legal dispute in America, requiring them to replace Ultraman with the Iron Giant.
That's fair.
Which Ultraman in Japan is owned by the same exact people who do Godzilla. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if they have Mech Godzilla in there, they have to have Ultraman in there. No, it's because in America, there's weird licensings that no one knows who owns Ultraman for American audiences right now.
Really weird.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I thought that Ultraman was gonna be in it because he was going through the shop and like buying stuff, and I saw it was the Cataclysm, but it looked like a pill.
Yeah, they had the Ultraman pill.
Yeah, it looked like
a capsule.
Yeah, mm-hmm. It looked. I saw the Cataclysm. I thought that it was a pill, and he walked past it and said it was the Cataclysm. I was like, okay. That's fine. They didn't actually like kind of say what the Cataclysm looked like. They just said that an anonymous person bought it.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg stated that Ready Player One is the most difficult film he had done since Saving Private Ryan, specifically for the CGI and things. Because after it was all filmed, they went to the special effects company, Industrial Lights and Magic, which does fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like all Star Wars, anything Disney.
Right.
It started by Jim Henson, I think.
Oh, okay.
Specifically for Star Wars, the very first one. But he said during post-production, when they were trying to make everything look right, every single week he'd go in for 3-hour meetings with them. And he said that was super labor-intensive, almost nothing like he's ever done before.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. It was a very heavy on the CGI. And it's to be expected in a movie that portrays virtual reality over a regular reality.
Do you know how they did the avatars? Like, were their actual characters CGI'd over?
I'm sure. I'm sure they did like the motion capture and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But because they definitely looked a lot like them. Maybe not every single one. Like, I don't think IROC had his motion capture. I think that might have been just a dude walking around that they don't need.
Talking about IROC, I really like... So in the book, he's kind of a throwaway character. Like, this dude's just a dick. Like, not really a big antagonist. I really like that he was a major antagonist in the movie. Because they left out the basement and everything, so there wasn't that gathering, knowing that he was kind of a friend of theirs. But seeing IROC, I was just like, oh, there he is! Mm-hmm. There's IROC!
Which, they're different characters completely, but just like, I heard the name IROC. I was like, oh, that's gonna be the wimpy guy in armor. No, he's this badass with like holes in his chest that forming a skull. I was like, all right.
Vastly
he was
different.
he was definitely comic relief in that sense too. Having like, I got this crick in my neck.
Mm-hmm. And then he was played by T.J. Miller, which is a well-known comedian who was the star of the Emoji Movie.
Never seen that.
Don't need to.
I don't plan on seeing that.
And then, the trivia that I didn't put in, it took months. I think they said 6 months when they were trying to plan this movie to acquire all the rights to put all of these things in there.
I bet.
Yeah.
One of the things, Steven Spielberg, I forget what line or something in the book, but everything I was reading said there was some reference to Close Encounters of the Third Kind in the book, but they tried to get that reference into the movie, but they couldn't acquire the rights, even though Steven Spielberg directed and produced that movie.
Just goes to show that your name cannot get you anything.
Mm-hmm.
You
get a lot, but
you can't just get whatever you want just because you produced it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So do we want to do specific like comparing, contrasting? I know we did a little, but
I would definitely like to start at the beginning of the movie. I was so pissed off at the beginning of the movie.
The race scene when it's just a silent race
No.
for Oh
No, it was
I didn't like that.
It was it was back in the very introduction of the so the voiceover
real world stuff.
No, he was voicing over. They were just in the Oasis. It was that big battle. So like they were fighting for this artifact.
I know what you're on about.
They were fighting for this artifact. And Daito and Sho was there.
Was bullshit.
And so they showed Daito and Shoto. I was fine. I was fine with that. And H saved him. Daito said arigato and Sho said shi. And I knew right then that they changed his fucking nationality to Chinese. Okay. And that fucking pissed me off.
All right.
That pissed me off so bad. I was like, fuck, they're not brothers anymore. He's Chinese, he's not Japanese.
Well, were they not?
They weren't brothers.
I guess they didn't mention it at all in the movie that they were brothers.
Exactly.
I guess maybe that was me knowing from the book because I thought it was one of them got killed or got hit, and then they jumped over to some guy sitting in a cafe or something, and then freaking out, but he was sitting across another guy with a headset on. I thought those were Daito and Sho from the movie.
Yeah, no, because Sho
thinking
never
back to it, those definitely weren't either of the actors.
It was just because I knew like what thank you was in their respective languages that I knew that his nationality had changed, and it had changed the whole dynamic. Honestly, because
I mean they were still really good friends. It was never.
They couldn't explain that dynamic in the movie when there was so little character development anywhere else.
You're right. I was actually very glad that Daito actually didn't die in the movie. Because I thought, because having read the book, Daito dies, guys.
And that was catchy. Daito dies, guys.
And I honestly thought when Sorrento was walking up to the van at the very end of the movie, I thought he was just going to open it and blindly fire, and I thought that Daito was going to throw himself in front of Wade to stop the bullet, and that was when Daito was going to die. But he actually doesn't die in the movie. By
the way, that's fucking stupid. Like, if you're going to walk up with a gun, you're either going to shoot or not walk up.
Well, yeah. I think it was more because he'd still idolized Halliday. And I think because you could see in Wade's visor that he had gotten the Easter egg. I think him seeing the Easter egg finally brought him back to the point where he was idolizing and was an intern for Halliday and was like brought him back to like a more innocent point where Wade was the whole film. They definitely didn't do a good job showing it, but like that's how I inferred that whole scene.
I mean, maybe I just took it as like he had figured out that he couldn't do it anymore because the egg was there. It's like, I can't kill him, no use.
That's exactly what I inferred from that scene. Like he was like, oh, the egg was done, my job is done, and he's kind of just thinking like the repercussions of that. Like he's kind of out of the job at that point.
I thought I saw him start to cry. Like, Wade definitely was crying, but I thought I could see, like, a tear going down his eye. But...
I didn't notice it, if so.
I noticed kind of, like, a relieved look come over Sorrento. I caught that, and so I thought that was kind of, like, from my inference, I was like, he was relieved that he didn't actually have to kill this kid to get the Easter egg anymore, because it was done.
Which, to be fair, he clearly didn't want to.
Yeah.
But that also doesn't make sense, because he's still the one that blew up the whole building that he thought he was in, and then got pissed when he found Wade was alive.
That was because he thought he could solidify their control over getting the egg by getting rid of one of the literal highest guy on the scoreboard.
He had this weird line between being okay with telling people that to go kill someone and actually doing it.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, because no one used a gun in that movie, like in real life, right?
I mean, so.
They definitely had guns.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone like shot at someone.
Yeah, no.
I wonder if that's like a PG-13 line breaker.
It might be. That might be. Like you can have guns, but you can't actually use them. Just kind of like a threat kind of thing.
And you can have one fuck with those for Chucky.
I forgot. Oh yeah, it was Chucky. That was it.
I actually really liked the Chucky in the movie. That was really cool. It wasn't in the book at all, and he just kind of threw Chucky, and Chucky went on a fucking rampage.
The whole scenes where they had the white light, or IOI had the white lights, and then they'd all turn to red when they were dead, and then the light would disappear. So you
had to go to the respawning station. And
you'd jump back to another one, so it was different eyes, so it wouldn't be the same unit. That whole scene, and then, I mean, a little convenient that someone shoots a straight beam at like 5 people and 5 people all in a row kills.
That was really cool.
It looks super cool, but like it's like there's no way they're still in that order.
I really liked when Mechagodzilla fell on all the IOI people and like a whole swath of them died.
Something about Daito and Sho in the movie, because in the book Daito's dead by the final battle, and then Sho takes on his mantle or whatever, and then and goes for revenge. But I thought it would, like, I can only think why they didn't have Daito come in earlier in the movie for the final battle was they just couldn't think of what he could do, because there was no basis for it in the book, because he was gone at that point.
Did Shoto use the Gundam mech in the book?
No, H had the Gundam.
H had the Gundam? Okay.
Yeah, because H apparently, that was his favorite anime, even though...
I mean, I get it.
They never
Her favorite anime?
Her. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I will say, they acted, like, even though it wasn't the, what is it?
Who?
The other one owned by the same people who own Mechagodzilla.
Oh, Ultraman?
Yeah, even though it wasn't Ultraman, they still mentioned the 3-minute timer in the movie.
Yeah.
They're like, you've only got a couple minutes. So, like, they could have been just, movie-wise, been, like, waiting to...
And
the time to use it.
I like that even though they couldn't use the pill to change into Ultraman, they had the arm artifact, which they were fighting over for in the beginning, to change into any robo-mech of your choosing.
Yeah.
So it was cool that we still got to kind of see the Ultraman pill, but not really. It was I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I like when there's clear precedent set for things beforehand.
Yeah.
Like, if they were just random artifacts coming out that had no mention whatsoever beforehand.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, by the way, at first, my immediate thought when, God, I'm bad with names tonight. The main bad guy. Sorrento.
Yeah.
I
always
say,
forget his name, too.
Yeah, me too. He's in the book, he was so, like, I love, like, very good villains, like, Handsome Jack from the Borderlands series, even, like, Joker's a staple in the Batman community, but just because he's such a interesting villain, Sorrento was not interesting at all.
Yeah, I felt like Sorrento wasn't, he was a corporate head to the villain that was IOI.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. And
in the book, he never, like... It was the idea of him, and that's why at the end they're just like, or in the book they're like, we think Sorrento's in one of these guys, but it's just at that point they're racing against the clock for IOI.
Yeah, not really Sorrento.
And then they never give any kind of resolution to Sorrento at all. Which in the movie they kind of do. He gets arrested and maybe had a change of heart, maybe not, depending on how you view that one scene.
Okay, so the original point I was getting at with that, when he got kicked in the nuts, I was like, why would you have that active? But then, like, 10 minutes into the thing, it's like, I have crotch gear enabled to feel everything going on down there.
Yeah.
I was like, they actually thinking about it.
I mean, if
there's a lot more references to dicks than I thought, than I was expecting going into the movie.
I mean, if this is a virtual world where you can have a virtual relationship, I mean, you gotta be able to feel the sexy times.
Yeah, sure. That was, I don't like that scene. But I will say that scene is a lot better than I hated the scene in the book where Wade goes into hiding under a different person or a different name.
That was so cool.
The whole thing, like, there's this one line. It's just even a line, and it's basically a throwaway line, but it completely ruined my whole view on Wade as a whole entire character. Just no matter what, where he starts shaving his head. He says or not shaved his head, but like is completely hairless. Yeah. Because there's a gel in the shower, which
it just got rid of all of his hair. He didn't have to deal. He wasn't living in the real world. Is what it was.
That's not my problem.
Okay.
I'm building up this scene. He's completely hairless, working out every single day in this one jumpsuit that he cleans every other day or whatever.
He's got two. He's got two. One for working out, and then one for being in the Oasis.
And then he has a bunch of money, doesn't know what to do with. His digital girlfriend just dumped him. He's all sad and depressed. So he says he spends a week in a digital brothel with a real-life robotic sex doll, where he said he wasted a week just having sex with this doll who, in his mind, was a digital prostitute. And just
on the plus side, said he didn't like it. It was like, it's not for me.
No, he said he liked it.
He was like...
It didn't take his virginity.
Yeah.
It was...
So he's still a virgin, guys. Even in the book, he's still a virgin.
So I could only see this, like, half-fat, sweaty, completely hairless guy strapped up with all this tech gear.
He wasn't fat, and because...
I said half-fat.
He's
in the middle of
yeah,
transitioning, yeah. And I could only see, from that point on, anytime he's, like, doing something cool, I'm like, you still sat there for a week and humped a sex doll. No, I don't care.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
Right?
So going back to stuff I loved about the book and didn't like about the movie, I really liked in the book how he didn't see Artemis's face until the very end. Like, after he got the Easter egg, after... all the bullshit, then he got to see Artemis's face, and that's how they ended the book.
Well, he did see her face. Yeah, it was in person.
I get that, but he didn't get the full effect of her face. Like, and it even mentioned in the book that her hair was tucked away from her face to get the whole birthmark in there because she really wanted him to like her for all her flaws and everything, and he did. It was really cool. And in the fucking movie, she fucking saves him.
Yeah. And then...
The resistance shit? Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
That was stupid. Like, what the fuck was that?
I hated the whole underground resistance thing, and I never fully formed the thought, but I had it in the movie where, like, why I liked the book, and it's very much not a me thing, but, like, how I related to the book and everything. I thought the book was saying a lot more, that you shouldn't put so much importance on the things, or on all these, like, random media things.
Right.
But, like, that was kind of, like, the point of the book, where at the end of it, you should realize these things aren't bigger than you. They're just as big as how much meaning you put into them, and that's it. Yeah. And then one of the reasons I didn't like Steven Spielberg directing the movie, because he's part of it, like 100%. They reference him
a lot, actually. They reference him a lot.
He's a part of all of that culture, so as a director, you view these things as bigger than you, because it's a whole team, and then you see years later how much they affect people. You start viewing them as bigger than you, not just the meaning you put into them.
Right.
And so I feel like that's where they got, like, the resistance fighters, where you only have a resistance when there is something bigger than you. You only have a war specifically like that, where you're giving your life to it if the cause is bigger.
Yeah.
When in the book, it was just, at the end of the day, it was still just a bunch of people playing video games because they felt it was important.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of was important. Like, there were millions of dollars on the line for them playing
like, they
this
gave
game.
reasons, and then it would have completely disrupted everyone's way of life.
Yeah.
But, like, it was still, very specifically, it was because everyone let it affect their life that much.
Mm-hmm.
Also, no one who was in line to win the egg had any understanding of how marketing works. Like, IOI's like, we can sell 80% of the screen space. It's like, all right, well, people are going to go get a new game. And then they're like, we're shutting down on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's like, all right, people are going to go get a new game.
Oh, but see, that's the thing. Like, Oasis was, it was just a game. But it was so intensive, and, like, you could do literally anything in it, that it became more of a platform than anything. Also because it had been, the Oasis game came out with the technology to pursue it. So the VR technology that they talked about in the movie, or in the book that was out, was basically what we have right now with the Oculus and all the other, like, the PS3 or PS4 VR stuff. That was what they were using as the kind of marking point for VR at that point. And then the Oasis came out and basically just gave you a literal virtual life that you could live, and people flocked to that, seeking it as an escape from their shitty lives in the stacks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because it was, at that point, dystopia, you couldn't do anything, so it was, everyone used it as an escape, and then it became the ultimate escape. And
right.
I will say that in the book, they weren't in Columbus. Like, Columbus, they said it was a mecca for the Gunters and anyone who really loved Halliday to go to Columbus and see the original of Gregarious Games, because that's where they were stationed. But nope, in the movie, they're just the fucking Resistance. Wade is in Columbus. IOI is in Columbus. Like they didn't even leave the city.
Or I don't know why H, Artemis, and then quickly Daito and Sho all get to Columbus, but like, yeah, it was. They were. Wade was originally in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I read.
And I think
that's just them skipping a plot point where they don't need a travel scene in the real world like that.
I get that for the movie. It's kind of streamlining the movie.
Essentially, they're all here conveniently.
Yeah. I really liked in the movie pro movie here for a second, the portrayal of H. The avatar was really cool, really technologically advanced, and it really showed it wasn't in the book that H was a big tech guy, because he really wasn't. He was just kind of a very big gunter, but I liked the extra facet of her personality being this engineer, and they also did a very good job of like making him seem kind of girlish, but also you couldn't really tell. Obviously, people who read the book, they knew the big twist that H was a girl, but they did a really good job of making it seem like that H wasn't a girl.
Yeah, in the book, that definitely caught me off guard. I kept thinking there's something more about Artemis. There has to be something more about Artemis. It's just, no, she has a scar and has like self-image issues.
Yeah.
But then it came up, and then it was H sitting nervously in the van. I was like, that's not H, is it? Like, no, they said it's absolutely H.
I didn't think Artemis had anything going on, because he said that in the Oasis you can be as beautiful as you want, and Artemis chose facial features that matched hers for her avatar. They didn't explicitly say it, but he's like, her face was really plain for what you can do in the Oasis. But it seemed very lifelike, and I really liked that about Artemis. That she kind of just like, yeah, I love everything about me except my fucking face.
And then something about H. There were a few lines. I think I got used to it at the end, but the voice modulation they put on the actress for the H in the video game, I could barely understand him. Like at the very beginning, it was just like, there was a lot going on with like noise, and then it was super modulated voice to sound like a guy. And it was just, there were a few things he said that I just couldn't understand. But like, I'm glad I didn't look it up before going into the movie, but I knew the actress from a couple shows I've watched.
Right.
And so I kept hearing H's voice. I was like, I know it's edited and everything, but like, I know that voice. If a girl's voice was turned into a guy's voice, I know who that girl / guy would be.
I could definitely hear the hints of a girl's voice in the modulation. And that I feel like that was just me knowing that H was a girl.
Probably.
Yeah.
None of our community segment mentioned that, but like,
let's get something from the community. What did they have to say about the movie and the book and stuff?
One of our friends. This is the community segment. Hopefully someday we'll talk to you on Twitter. Hunter, what's our Twitter handle?
Our Twitter handle is @SideB, I believe.
All right.
If not, it's close to that.
Links.
Yeah, it'll be in the link in the description. So you can definitely go over there, and that is the best way to get into contact directly with us. We check that often. We're always on it. We get it directly to our phones, all of us here at Side B. So definitely go there if you want to get some input in on our videos.
Good Twitter pitch.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future we'll say, hey, we're reviewing this thing for next month's of Monsters and Mechs. What'd you think of it? But until we get that full community, we have some of our friends who read. One of them read the book. Everyone else watched the movie. All right. For the first one, our friend Jessie, my girlfriend, she said, I thought it was a good movie and that they adapted it from the book in such a way that maintained what I enjoyed about the book, but made it more interesting for a movie platform. Which is definitely a few critics I read definitely said that. If they had read the book, I mean, maybe they have a better eye for like what a movie needs to be, but they all enjoyed the movie a lot more for how it was paced and not sitting there dwelling on him playing Pac-Man or whatever else.
Yeah.
Even though that was a cool scene, and I think it could have been in the movie. All right. Andrea, another one of our friends.
My girlfriend.
Seth's girlfriend, yeah. All right. She said, I liked the movie, but I am glad I read at least a little bit of the book before so I wasn't as confused about the movie like a friend of mine was, which is a friend of all of ours. We didn't get a quote from her. But then another one of our friends, Tim.
My girlfriend.
Nope.
All right. He said, it was an okay movie. 4 out of 10. You could tell it was an adaptation, and a lot of stuff didn't really fit together as neatly as it should have. Overall, it was a fun movie, and it looked good, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, it was a 2-hour movie, if you guys didn't know. And
I mean, hopefully they all watched it, so they know.
They're this deep
Yeah,
in.
it's
Either
2
they
hour
watched
movie.
it or they got over it.
They definitely did as much as they could in that 2-hour time span. It's definitely not like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing where they had to do like 3 different parts to get the whole story. But I feel like there could have been more character development in it. That was my biggest thing with the movie, honestly, was the character development, especially with the love scene. They just kind of like, oh hey, I love you.
Didn't you say that was 10 minutes in?
That was how it felt. Yeah, from in the book, it was halfway through when he was like, "Hey, I love you," and she's like, "This is a problem."
They had talked in the book, like it was definitely more paced in the book because like from the finding of the first key to the finding of the second key was 6 months.
I think it was longer.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was a year between.
It was 6 months before that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wade said,
okay.
"I loved you" to Artemis 6 months after they found the key and were hanging out together.
So there were 6 months of them, and he said like they went from text, like sending emails once every week to a couple times a week, and like he mentioned the progression of their relationship to like IMing and just like talking basically as they were going about their gun touring. And that really developed their connection more than in the book.
I mean, they never went specifically into detail. It was just him saying, we hung out a lot more and we liked each other. And then next thing you know, they're at a dance party. He says, "I love you." And she's like, whoa. In the movie, it was he meets her once, had a what they say cyber crush. And then the next thing, they're at the same dance party, but says, "I love you." And she's like, "No, that's actually fucked up."
He did,
and she was right. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. He did allude that he read like all of her posts and stuff. He did.
No. I don't care how many blogs of someone you read that you're not in love with them. And that doesn't give you the right when the first time you fucking meet them in person, you don't go up and touch their face. Doesn't matter if she's sitting there and wanting you to do it. You don't. 2 seconds after he sees her, he brushes her hair back and says, "You're not ugly at all," or whatever it was.
A point about Artemis, differentiating for her from the book and the movie. I really liked that. So like in the book, she was like, "Oh, if I win, I'm gonna help people," and like that's cool and all. You know, helping people is awesome. I really liked that in the movie, IOI had not directly killed her father, but her father died working for IOI because he was in the loyalty center and everything. I really liked that about her character. And she was just like, "I'm winning this so fucking IOI doesn't win." Like, beat the big guy up for once.
Got anything more to talk about it?
Oh, I definitely do.
All right. I mean,
in theory, go on for like 10 hours.
Yeah.
I definitely, another point I really want to make, I didn't like in the movie that there were no gates.
Yeah, there were gates,
well, there was
but
a gate
it wasn't another challenge. It was just, here's a key, it reveals a gate.
Yeah.
You put it in.
Here's the key, here's a riddle.
Yeah, I did not like about the movie at all. Which I get. I definitely get it because in the book, like, you had to act out the entire movie. And you couldn't really do that in the movie production of it.
I mean, they did kind of, like, with the Shining bit. Like, that was a good movie adaptation to just acting out a whole entire movie.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do that inside of a movie, but like, why not do, I mean, I guess The Shining, they wanted to do a horror thing to add a little bit of extra stuff. You don't want to do
a little scare factor.
Yeah, you don't want to do war games when everyone else is still or already sitting at a computer. You don't want to watch an action scene in a movie about people playing or on computers.
Yeah.
And
I also think they could have done in the movie like a third person, like we're in the video game kind of thing. We're in an older video game acting out the thing. I think they could have done that in the movie. I get why they didn't, but I definitely wish they had.
And then I don't think I noticed any reference to Monty Python. Definitely not the Holy Grail.
There was not. I wish there was.
Well, I mean, I guess Parzival's name is Percival, but like that's itself reference to actual King Arthur, not the Monty Python bit. But.
Speaking of Parzival,
Mm-hmm.
I like so in the book he's got the basically a base avatar with the base clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it and I didn't like it. In the movie he had that cool vest, that jean vest with the sword on his back. I actually really liked the sword on his back.
Did you see his belt buckle?
I did not see his belt buckle.
It's the Thundercats logo.
But I really liked his jacket. I really liked the gold sword on the back. It really tied together the whole Parzival thing that he had going on.
That whole character difference was another. Let's just skip to the good bit. And he's in Columbus and has enough money to do all these things. Or, I mean, they never even talked about paying for portals or something. You could just travel anywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Which definitely doesn't explain how they made so much money on the Oasis then. Because in the book, it was specifically just traveling from one place to another. Is how
it
they
was
made
traveling and then like renting out the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's my phone in the other room going off.
Ah.
I mean, well... my phone, is the Bee Gees, whatever it is. I forget the name, actually.
Oh, man.
You can tell by the way, Woman's Man.
I was singing this earlier today.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it, you can tell by the way
That's the start of the song.
I don't remember the name of it.
You can tell by the...
Whatever, the main Bee Gees song that everyone knows, it's in the movie, and I checked my phone when that started playing. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's the movie, but let me just check. I turned my phone off.
I do have something to say about the Rush. I
fucking hated that.
Wait, in the book?
No, in the book it was awesome.
Yeah,
they didn't even play a single Rush song in the movie.
Didn't. They did give a big shout out to Rush though, and at the very end in Halliday's childhood room, the 2118 poster, the 2112 poster, they had a very prolonged look at the poster, and I was like, okay, you're giving a little aside to it. I like that.
H or Helen or whoever the real life person,
right?
HIRL. She was wearing a 2112 t-shirt.
That was also cool.
And then another thing you mentioned, posters.
Yeah.
What was it? There was basically a big plot point in the books was them playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
doing that.
Exactly.
It was just there were a couple stickers of a die 20, and then Wade was wearing the ampersand dragon sign and when the stacks were falling, but that was it. They didn't even talk about it. They said the word world Gygax, which is Gary Gygax, the guy who invented Dungeons and Dragons, but never a specific reference to that. And then
I didn't like that Halliday met Karen, just met her and then went on a date with her. Mm-hmm. I wish that because I feel like they could have done that. They could have put something together in the movie where they had done the Dungeons and Dragons thing, where he met Og and met Karen, and that's where he met her instead of on that date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that in the movie, Og looked really shitty.
Yeah,
just straight up stealing Karen, and then I feel maybe not. It makes a lot more sense why they would just fall apart instead of Halliday just sitting there pining over his friend's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then that finally breaks him up, but he never says anything.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, it makes a little more sense that he kind of stole her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. And then, the poster, something in the young Halliday's room, there was a Legend of Zelda Link to the Past poster in one of them. Which came out in 1991.
Yeah.
When is he supposed to be in that room? Is that the fucking 70s? It would have to be, unless they said he was much younger. Which they did seem a lot younger than how they were portrayed in the book, Og and Halliday.
Yeah, they did seem a little bit younger.
Mm-hmm. But then, it's just that not a plot hole, but just why has he got that poster in there from 1991, but still playing the Intellivision from 75 or whatever it was.
Halliday was born in 1972.
Mm-hmm.
So
it shouldn't have lined up that way.
I mean, it's not a big deal. They probably just said, here's
a retro
some video game.
Yeah.
They didn't really pay attention.
Just kind of stroke off the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the room, listening to the book, and seeing the room in the movie, I actually basically saw in my mind what was shown on the movie.
Mhm.
So I think that the book did a really good job of describing it, and they did a really good job of transitioning it to the video platform.
Mhm. It was something weird because adventure was the final plot point in the movie,
Yeah.
but it was the very beginning thing in the book. And
Yeah.
it was just like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I know that specifically for like years before even reading the book about the Easter egg and adventure.
Mhm.
And it was just, it seemed super easy, and I don't know why it was a big plot point in the movie. Like, how did no one figure out that much? Or how, that specifically, but...
That was because IOI, they saw, IOI saw it as like, oh, we gotta win it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that
Yeah.
plot point, but just like, why not try adventure the very first time? Why not try
That's true.
adventure
That's
for
true.
every single step along that way? The very first Easter egg. You think it'd be important.
Yeah,
That's fair.
They placed a lot of importance on the Easter egg aspect of it, especially in the book.
Mhm.
Because they, in the very beginning of the book, they mentioned adventure.
Yeah, well, he was playing it on the video. Which,
oh yeah, the video.
Which, yeah, the video would have been cool. Like, I was reading because that was before I started listening to it, but I was reading through the the prologue when they're describing the video and everything, and I was like, okay, he's literally just writing a beat for beat, this is how you open the movie. Because it's, this video has been shown, or my generation has watched this more than the Zapruder film or something.
Yeah.
And then describes exactly to the very last detail, which, cool for writing, because they're Easter egg hunters, or gunters, whatever. I hate that name. But he describes it so in detail that maybe it was just a licensing thing, because there were so many references and so many, like, things that they couldn't have gotten. But, like, it was just so specific in detail. And then the book, the prologue ends, I think, with them saying, I put on my visor and see the words that I've seen a million times now. And it's a callback to the classic video game. I thought, okay, that's the title screen of the movie. Yeah, that's where he puts on his headset and then it zooms into Ready Player One. There you go. There's your big thing. But I think it just like fell from the sky in the movie or something. Like,
do you have anything else, Seth?
No, we should wrap up. Maybe.
Yeah. All right,
I've got one thing.
All right.
Just a nice thing to end on.
Is it because we didn't do our last segment?
What's our last
second
segment?
last segment, kind of. Specifically for Ready Player One, our last segment, the dope ass shit segment.
Oh, the dope ass shit! I've got something to completely end on. I've got something at the end.
So the dope ass shit segment is when we each choose a very specific moment. It can be 2 moments if they're separate from the movie or book.
Okay.
Where some dope ass shit happened. Every month we'll have this exact segment. You know, maybe not exactly, but something.
Right. Sure.
All right. I'll go mine.
Okay.
First, and then Seth, and then I know Hunters. That's a good one to end on. So,
I mean, that's not my dope ass shit, but
okay.
I've got just something really nice
okay.
to warm your heart to go out on, guys. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
Okay.
Sure. I don't know it.
All right.
It's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
We'll work through it. All right. So my dope ass shit segment. I typed it in my notes. Fucking Leopardon. That was super amazing. And I was reading the book, and Jesse, who had read the book a few months before me, kept saying, hey, you'll really like this book. Hey, you'll really like this book. And, I mean, this is specifically what ties this whole series into this podcast. So I need to mention it, like, in detail.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, I was, I don't know why, but I was not even halfway through the book. Like, I had just read, like, the first couple chapters. And then I was thinking about Spider-Man and Leopardon. It's like every so often I just think about it. It's like, that's super weird that the same people who made Super Sentai and Power Rangers also a couple years before made a Spider-Man where he used a mech. And so every so often I just think about that. It's like, laugh to myself how ridiculous it is, but also how awesome it is. And I was showing Jessie it, and I was like, hey, have you ever seen this robot at all? And she's like, no, I don't know what that is at all. And I said the name a couple times. She's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then I got to the point where they start talking about him loving the show and loving tokusatsu and all of that. And then he gets Leopardon in there.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. That was just a cool moment. And then...
Yeah, for sure.
Related to that, Leopardon versus Mech Godzilla, which then turns into Ultraman versus MacGodzilla.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah,
And I got to that scene right before I was planning on going to bed. Scene, whatever. I was reading it right before going to bed, got to that point, was so hyped, I just finished the rest of the book from that point. Didn't go to bed. And then, in the movie, it's super cool. Really wish Leopardon and Ultraman were in there, but I understand, whatever. Not everyone would get it. You know, Leopardon comes out and he starts talking about Spider-Man. I don't think anyone would have gotten it unless they're basically specifically me. Or close enough. But, I will say, in the movie, when the Gundam came out and started slashing at MechGodzilla, I got legitimate chills. That whole fight scene, I was like, this is awesome. It's not as cool as it could have been, but it's pretty fucking awesome. And it's some dope-ass shit.
The whole fight scene was great. Yeah. Honestly, like, dope-ass shit is that fight scene.
For sure.
Also, I really, like...
Your dope-ass shit. What's your dope-ass shit? You can have one for the book and one for the movie if you need to. But
I'm gonna say dope-ass shit for the movie is... when they blew up the stacks. Like, to have that fucking type of synergy and all at once just, alright, here's a bunch of drones, they put down a bunch of bombs, we decided we're gonna blow it up, and now it's gone, like, 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
Like, that's just fucking cool.
Yeah, like in
the whole
book...
drones were interesting. I wasn't, like, any part of the book, I never pictured that, but just, like, it's cool that...
Yeah, it was a
drones
really
are
good
definitely a thing now while making the movie. I don't think they were a great thing in writing the book. But,
That's mine. What's yours, Hunter?
Oh, you don't have any dope-ass shit for the movie?
I mean, okay.
No, that was the movie, right?
No, he had the... Oh, yeah,
that was for the movie. A dope-ass shit for the book would probably be the Pac-Man scene, because, like, as I said earlier, it was so good at being like, this was a failed attempt, it was absolutely useless, and it's like, okay, going into a deep dive, basically, of how you can go down a path and it lead to nothing. And I didn't put down the book or think about it anywhere between when I read that and when I read the end, so I never really thought deeply in it. And then when they brought back the quarter the second time, and I was like, that makes so much fucking sense. It was really good.
I really wish that scene would have been in the movie and set to, like, a classic 80s montage to Pac-Man Fever. It would have been perfect. I think it would have been, like, fit perfectly, but I don't know. Maybe there's no way to put it in there, and, like, I can't think of at the moment where to put it in there. But I could envision the scene, exactly what the scene out of context would have been. Would have been pretty cool.
Alright, so for my dope ass shit, I'm gonna kind of break the rules a little bit because
piece of shit.
I know.
Cool.
I'm gonna give two to the book. Definitely read the book. The book is by and large my favorite. I loved in the book how at the very end, the big fight scene, they each were in their own mechs. The High Four at that point. They were in their own mechs, and they had Voltron on the other side. They didn't actually get to form Voltron, but I thought it was awesome. And it was like mech on mech kind of action that was going on, and that's really what ties it into this podcast with all the mechs. And the second thing,
real quick, I'm not disappointed in myself, but like when they were naming off the specific mechs, it was Artemis and Daito. I knew where they had come from, but I didn't know the specific mech's name, so I actually had to stop reading, look it up. I was like, okay, that's what they look like. I know how they fight because I've seen the shows and stuff, but I don't know.
And then the second thing was actually, so like the battle had been won. He's about to go into the gate, and the fucking Cataclysm. He was just like,
is it the Cataclysm
or the?
I think it's
the It might have been the Cataclysm.
Yeah, I think Bill's right. Yeah,
but he was just like. It was so cool. Like he was just like, and then everything went black, and that's the end of the chapter. Like, and everything fucking dies. I thought that was some dope ass shit.
Which didn't at the start of the book they say that you don't keep your stuff if your avatar dies. Yeah,
you drop everything.
I guess the gate had already been opened, so didn't matter.
And so, but like artifacts, everything was destroyed in the Cataclysm, but except for artifacts. That's why he was able to walk around and find artifacts just strewn about the battlefield.
Well, I guess he didn't lose his progress because he never technically died. I guess.
Yeah, that's also true.
Was that you said you had just two from the book?
Two from the book. No, I mean the movie was cool. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like I really just enjoyed the book. So much. The book was amazing.
All right. A little breaking of the rules, but whatever. Halliday didn't like rules.
Exactly. Halliday didn't like rules.
Oh, wait, actually,
should we
fucking...
Should we try to figure out an ARG to put for this?
No.
It's too late now.
Just go back, watch it through, be like, all right, we can call that a hint, pretend that's a hint, yeah?
All right, guys. And so for the last thing I just kind of want to end on is in the book...
Well, this isn't 100% the ending.
Oh, it's not the end? Oh,
yeah, we still gotta do... Yeah, that was it of, like, the whole...
The whole dope-ass shit.
Yeah.
That was our dope-ass shit.
That was the last of all of our segments.
I'm gonna warm your fucking hearts, guys.
All right, yeah.
I don't believe it.
Alright, so that's what we thought of Ready Player One. That's what you thought of Ready Player One. Further discussion, if you want, follow us on Twitter. It'll be in the link, even though we don't specifically
I saw it. It's official side B. I looked
official
it up.
side B.
Official side B. We are the
official side B?
At official side
Alright,
B.
that's our handle. So, go to that. Tell us what you thought your dope-ass shit was. And then, we decided on what we're doing next month?
Yes.
Alright, we're watching all of Gurren Lagann.
Yep,
which is...
only one season. It's 27 episodes. Yep. Definitely, it's been out for a while, so you guys have probably seen it. Rewatch it, just so that you're up to date with us. You're on the same level as we are, and hopefully we'll get some input from you guys on this episode.
And then, if we do get a following or whatever, hopefully, read Gurren Lagann with us, or not read, watch. If you wanted to read,
you can
I guess.
Read it, yeah.
There's
I'm
a
gonna
manga.
read it. I'm definitely gonna read it. Me as a total nerd, I just want to get all
what
facets.
Do you mean? This whole podcast is whatever.
Who do you think our target audience is right now?
Whatever. All right, yeah, but tell us what you think of Gurren Lagann, and then say what your dope ass shit was for that and for Ready Player One, and keep talking to us.
Any suggestions for after Gurren Lagann? You can
that's
put
what I
down
was
here.
about to say. Yeah,
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, comment what you want to watch next. Maybe we'll have like a...
We definitely need a monster. If you've got any anime, movie, book that has
Gurren Lagann has monsters in it, right?
Well,
or are they all mechs?
It's mostly mechs.
Okay.
It's mostly mechs.
Mm-hmm.
So we want something that really features a monster in our next one.
Maybe recommend a couple Godzilla films that we can watch specifically.
I would definitely like to go back into the archives and look at those.
Yeah. Alright. This
Godzilla's
is
cool.
On YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We probably won't put this on any podcast services anytime soon, but...
You might. It's not expensive, to my understanding.
It's not too bad, but we'll work it out. If you're listening to this on a podcast, subscribe. If it's on iTunes, I think you can rate it and review it. I hear that helps out a lot. And Hunter says he's got a closing to this segment, I think.
So in the book... in the scene where he's getting the Easter egg and Halliday, the actual Halliday avatar, is talking to Parzival, he says, "You know what, Wade? Thank you for playing my game." And that's kind of how he ends his confrontation with Parzival. And in the movie, verbatim, they're walking out the door and they say, "Thank you, Wade, for playing my game." And it just completed it for me. That was the best part of the movie.
So thanks for playing our game. Thanks for watching our podcast.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.